for those trying to still navigate the new updates on a Zoom. As we know, every time I log in, there's a new surprise. So I'm just going to give everybody a minute. Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm just going to give another minute for those trying to join us. I see there's a rush at the front door at this point, so thank you all for joining us. Well, good morning, Greg, to you as well. Pleasure to see you here and in person last week. Okay, as we have other participants try to join, I just want to welcome you all. My name is Natasha Borchanen. I am a program manager for Southeast PA Apex Accelerator. You may know us as PTAC previously, Procurement Technical Assistance Center, but now we are funded under U.S. Department of Defense, Office of Small Business Program. And as a part of that transition, our program has been rebranded to Apex Accelerators. This change is occurring within the 90 plus centers nationwide, including our center as well. So for another year or so, we will be using this term interchangeably for sake of continuity. And I just want to assure you that what will not change is the same great supporting service we've been providing to you, supporting businesses like yours navigating government contracting market. And what will change is increased scope and resources to support you even better. You will see this change occur via our digital footprint, so our website, social media, our newsletters that are coming out to you will have this new logo available to you. So you know how to reach us. And this email, Beth here, our assistant program manager, who is present and will be feeding you some information throughout this chat. You can always reach us there. We monitor this email all day long, so none of your inquiries do not get missed. Another thing that we want to let you know that we serve Berks, Bucks, Chester, Delaware, Lehigh, Montgomery, Northampton, and Philadelphia counties. If you find that your business is located in one of the county that is not listed here, we will be happy to assist you in finding your appropriate Apex Accelerator to support you in your government contracting ventures. And Beth, if you would mind putting the APTAC a link. APTAC is an organization that connects all of us Apex Accelerators, and on their website you can find your respective Apex Accelerator. Thank you, Beth. Okay, so I'm just going to go on and introduce our speaker today, Mr. Pat Desanto, who is a corporate supplier diversity program manager for Lockheed Martin Corporation. And in this role, Pat is responsible for the management of Lockheed Departments of Defense comprehensive subcontracting plan. This includes the establishment of processes, goals, and objectives to maximize Lockheed Martin's utilization of small businesses through subcontracting and partnering initiatives. He's also a certified supplier diversity professional and a trainer for the Alliance of Supplier Diversity Professionals. Pat has over 26 years of government contracting experience in various business operation roles, including supply chain operations, overhead rate management, financial planning and analysis, treasury operation, program finance, and government proposals. That's a lot, Pat. Pat earned bachelor's degree in finance from Stockton University in 96 and a master's degree in business management from Drexel University in 2004. He is also a certified public accountant and is the sole proprietor of Tax and Finance Simplified LLC, a small tax and bookkeeping company. And Pat currently resides in Sicklerville, New Jersey, with his wife Amy and his two children. So please uh, help me welcome Pat here, who I know will be sharing tremendous amount of helpful information as you're navigating your government contracting journey as a subcontractor and potentially see an opportunity to work with Lockheed Martin. So, Pat, the podium is yours.
All right, excellent. Can you see my screen okay?
Yes, we can.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Natasha, for that introduction. Really appreciate it. Again, my name is Pat Desanto. Been with Lockheed Martin a long time. And as she mentioned, I reside in New Jersey. So a couple months ago, reached out to Natasha and team, just looking for opportunities to partner. So this is our first go at it. Looking forward to today, and also looking forward to opportunities in the future to partner on other events. So I am the Corporate Supplier Diversity Program Manager. What exactly does that mean? So I have really two primary responsibilities. The first one is I negotiate Lockheed Martin's small business goals with the government on an annual basis. And then I work very closely with all of the different business sectors within the corporation to ensure that we are on track to hit those small business goals. My other key responsibility is doing outreach, working with different organizations to not only find new small businesses for us to potentially work with, but also provide as much coaching as I can to small businesses on how to best position themselves as a potential Lockheed Martin partner. And that's really what I want to talk about today. I want to provide all of you with the best information possible so that you can potentially win work with Lockheed Martin in the future. Let's see if I can advance the slides. All right, I got it. So wanted to start off just sharing with all of you our corporate vision. We keep our customers' missions at the forefront, whether it's protecting citizens or advancing the boundaries of science. These missions are some of the most important and challenging in the world. We bring an unwavering commitment to help our customers succeed. And it's that sense of purpose and opportunity to make a difference in the world that drives us every day. Again, as a potential supplier, understanding what our corporate vision is very important. Our corporate values. So these are our corporate values, and Lockheed Martin's success depends upon our commitment to integrity. Our core values: do what's right, respect others, and perform with excellence. These are fundamental to who we are and what we do. At Lockheed Martin, we believe that doing what's right is more than just obeying laws and regulations. Again, as a potential supplier for the corporation, you would want to ensure that these same values are present within your own organization, and make sure that we know that when you're marketing your company to us. Before I go on, I did want to mention one more thing. If any of you do have a question during today's presentation, please feel free to either raise your hand or enter it in the chat. And Natasha, if you interrupt me if I have any questions out there. A little bit about our employee population. So we have 114,000 employees. More than half of them are individuals that are much smarter than I, engineers, scientists, and technologists. We operate in 345 facilities worldwide, and we're also operating in 78 countries with about 7,500 employees within those countries. Also, about 20% of our employees are veterans. And we work very closely with our veteran employee resource group to strategize on how to help veteran-owned small businesses win business with Lockheed Martin. Our customers, again, very important piece of information for you to know. Who are we working with? Last year, our total U.S. government sales were about $49 billion. And our largest customer is the Department of Defense, which made up about $42 billion of those sales. So most of our work is with the DoD. The remaining portion of our U.S. customer base is with NASA and various intelligence agencies. We also had international sales of $18 billion last year and about $500 million of commercial sales. And both the commercial and international business has been growing very rapidly over the past few years. Again, something important to understand when approaching Lockheed Martin as a potential supplier. Now, it's also important to understand that Lockheed Martin has 4 core business areas. Each business area has different programs and focus areas, as well as different procurement needs. The reason this is important is if you can gain an understanding of those business areas and then target the appropriate business area that best aligns with your capabilities, that's going to enable somebody like me to offer you more assistance and to get you in front of the right decision makers. So we have supplier diversity professionals that are strategically assigned to report up through the procurement function to support their specific business area, along with supporting corporate initiatives. So just to kind of, I'll go through them rather quickly. Again, I'm not an engineer, so I can't answer any technical questions, but aeronautics, better known as the business area that's things with wings. We are the world leader in air power protection, including combat, air mobility, special mission, reconnaissance aircraft, and along with design and development of advanced systems. Next, we've got rotary and mission systems. RMS provides surface, air, and undersea applications for U.S. military and international customers. RMS is also where our Sikorsky programs reside. Next, missiles and fire control. This is MFC is a recognized designer, developer, and manufacturer of precision engagement aerospace and defense systems for the U.S. and allied militaries. This is also the lead business area for hypersonic programs. And then last but not least, space. Space is the leading system integrator of space products and services for military, civil, and commercial applications. And this business area has really seen a resurgence the last few years with all of the, with Space Force and some of the other space programs that are coming back. So they are also very well positioned for the future. Okay, now I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, kind of small, but just wanted to show all of our locations in the U.S. As you can see, we're all over the place. The reason I show this is because I'm assuming most of you are in the Northeast, where we are, but it's just important to understand for your company, are you regional? Are you national? Are you international? this is all going to affect, your potential for opportunities with Lockheed. Lockheed Martin leadership. This is just a snapshot of our executive leadership team. Again, if you were meeting with an individual from Lockheed Martin, at the minimum, you would want to know who the CEO is, Jim Takelet. But it would also help to understand who the executive leadership is for the specific business area that you might be interested in working with. I put a box around Frank St. John's picture, and that's only because that's the executive that my organization rolls up to. He's the COO. He's the one who we report our quarterly status updates to. He's also the individual that signs off on our small business plan for the corporation each year. Okay, next slide. So just wanted to give you a look at our supplier diversity team. This picture, picture's a little bit old, but these are our small business liaison officers, as we call them. We have team members representing all the business areas. Most other large companies have similar structures, but the reason I wanted to show these folks is because these are what I call the front line. So these are the individuals that, as a small business, that you want to interact with, because we are the ones that can help figure out who the best decision maker is that we can get you in front of so that you could potentially win small business. Because again, the goal of every individual on this team is to maximize our utilization of small business on government contracts. So these are the gatekeepers. And as you're going to see in a second, all the events that we support, we put that on our website so that you'll have the opportunity to potentially meet these decision makers in the future. And I just noticed in that picture, that's me before beard right there in the back. But again, these are some of the important folks that you need to get in touch with and get in front of to potentially win business. Just economic impacts, supply chain. Whoops, I don't know why my slides keep advancing. There we go. Supply chain is a key strategic component of our operations. Out of the 6.1 billion shown, a significant portion of that went to women-owned and veteran-owned small businesses. But we do work currently with a little bit over 13,000 suppliers across the U.S. and a number of countries. The majority of those suppliers are within the U.S. I also put a note in there regarding our support of the defense industrial base. We've been making advanced payments to small businesses. I think we're going on about 12 years now, but on average, we pay our small businesses within 15 days. During the pandemic, we accelerated that even further. We were paying some small businesses as quickly as 1 day. But the point being here, supply chain is a key component of our operations, and we are extremely focused on giving as much opportunity as we can to small businesses. So here's just a quick look of why does that keep happening? Just at our different socioeconomic categories that we awarded to last year, over $1 billion, both to small disadvantaged and women-owned small businesses, $373 million to HubZone, and over 600 million to veteran-owned small businesses, including 290 million to service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses. We're very proud of these numbers. Again, we have a robust supplier diversity program, extremely focused on giving small businesses in not just these categories, but also just small, giving them as much opportunity as possible. So this is my fish slide. Whoops. As a prime contractor, we get approached by thousands of suppliers looking to do business. In fact, on average, we receive 400 to 500 supplier inquiries on a monthly basis. That is why it's important to differentiate yourself from the competition and have a good plan in place when it comes to approaching and making a lasting impression with Lockheed Martin. So let me give you, again, a little bit more detail. When I meet with a small business, I don't know why my slides keep advancing. When I meet with a small business, these are the types of things that I'm going to ask about, and this is the type of information that I need to know. As you can see, the socioeconomic status, that's the last item on here in terms of what I need to know. If I can find a supplier that has, all the appropriate qualifications, that has good past performance, that has the right level of experience, that is what's really important. That's what I can use to get your information in front of the right decision maker. That being said, if that business is also small and also happens to fit into one of those other socioeconomic categories I mentioned, that's a bonus. And that is, again, what I'm looking to accomplish when I'm performing outreach and when I'm meeting small businesses. But again, some of the most important things are past performance with a federal customer, whether it's working directly with a government agency or having worked with another prime contractor, quality certifications, security clearances, cybersecurity readiness, again, very, very important. Location, depending upon where the need is, can your business support that need if it's in another state, or if it's on the West Coast, or if it's international?
Pat, we do have a question.
All right, excellent.
Does every type of business require security clearance?
It does not, and that's a great question. It really depends on the type of product or service you're offering. If it's on a government contract, there's a strong possibility it may require security clearance. But keep in mind, you saw the map of all of our facilities. We do have a great need for what I call indirect services. We did about $2 billion worth of non-government procurements last year. So for that type of work, you wouldn't necessarily need a clearance.
Thank you.
Sure. And then just a couple other things mentioned on the bottom of the slide. Technology unique to your company that's patented. Always love to hear about new technologies that companies are creating and how they might potentially be valuable to our customer. Other differentiating factors, what makes your company different than the other couple hundred companies I might be meeting with. And then the most obvious, supplier of needed services. I'm going to show you some of the resources that we have that show what we need. Well, obviously, if you're a supplier that's building, I don't know, that's making paper cups, I might not have a need for you, but if you're a supplier that's making something that is on our need list, then obviously I'm going to be very interested in talking to you. Getting prepared. Again, a lot of this might be, oops, I don't know why my slides are doing. There we go. Pause it. Getting prepared. These are just a couple of the things that you want to make sure you have. NAICS, DUNS, and CAGE. I actually need to update this slide because DUNS number has been changed to unique entity identifier. So I'm going to make a note to update my slide 14. But again, want to make sure you have your NAICS code, North American Industry Classification System, your unique identifier number, CAGE code. CAGE is a 5-digit alphanumeric identifier, which is assigned to suppliers of various government agencies. Basically, if your company or entity wants to do business with the government, got to have a CAGE code. Want to make sure that your NAICS codes are correct, that they align with the product or service that you are offering. This is very important because we are required to align all of our procurements with a specific NAICS code. You want to make sure that your NAICS code list includes all the things that you do actually support currently, not things that you want to do necessarily in the future. Know your market, understand your customers, engage with your customers, know who your competitors are. One of the things that I always recommend to small businesses, especially those that are just kind of starting out, is your best bet might be just to partner with another small business versus trying to come to a Lockheed Martin, especially if you don't have that past performance. It's going to be very difficult often to get your foot in the door there. The other thing is, depending upon whether you're, in addition to small, if you're a veteran-owned small business or a women-owned small business, there's many support groups out there that are focused on specific socioeconomic categories. Want to make sure that you're also, looking at those events and seeing if there might be an opportunity there to, again, to get in front of potential customers. I'm going to take a quick sip of coffee. Okay. Business card tips. This is just Pat Desanto's opinion. But I personally, I meet with a lot of suppliers. I see a lot of business cards, and very often it can be overwhelming given the number of suppliers that I'll meet in a given day. I was in an event last week in DC. I think I met 75 suppliers while I was there. So when I get their business card, this is the information that I personally would prefer to see on the card. Obviously, the name of your company, the address, your email, your website, your phone number, your socioeconomic status, and any key descriptive words that encompass what your company does. I also recommend taking advantage of the back of the business card and suggest having your NAICS code and the description of the NAICS that you support, and also, not DUNS, UEI, your UEI number, and your CAGE code. I also personally prefer to just have a plain white business card. Excuse me. And the reason I say that is because I literally take notes on the business card itself when I'm meeting with the supplier, because at the end of the day, when I go back into my jacket pocket and I pull all those business cards out and kind of log everyone I met with that day, if I'm able to write notes directly on the card, it just makes my job a little bit easier given the number of suppliers that I meet with. So again, just some business card tips. And I think we have a question. I see somebody raise their hand.
Pat, just a curious question while we were on the business card topic.
Sure.
What conferences, where do we meet you?
So
where do you like to hang out?
So that's a great question. I'll give you the general answer, then I'll give you the specific answer. The general answer is any major conference in the country, we usually have at least one representative there. Especially if those conferences are associated with a specific government agency, like whether it be a Navy conference. Last week, I was at an Army conference in DC, or any organizations, again, that are focused on specific socioeconomic categories. So, for example, I'm the veteran-owned small business champion for the corporation. So any conference that is specifically focused on veteran-owned small businesses, I'm typically there. The other thing is, and I think I show a slide on this in a bit, is that if you go on Lockheed Martin's, if you go on our website and you go into the suppliers area, we actually list all the conferences for the next quarter that we're going to be attending. So you can see where we're going to be. And again, if it's feasible for you to go to those conferences, find the Lockheed Martin booth and meet with myself or one of my colleagues.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. And when you do go to those conferences and make initial contact, again, here's just a couple quick tips. Obviously, you want to have your elevator speech ready to go. I recommend making it brief and concise, focusing on your company's uniqueness and differentiators, your past performance. Again, not only telling me what do you do, but giving me examples of what you've done for other customers in the past. I love success stories, any kind of stories about what kind of value you're able to bring to your customer. Those are a couple of the do's. A couple of the do nots are, you definitely don't want to walk up to a company like Lockheed Martin. You wouldn't believe how often this happens. I'll be standing at a booth and I'll have video screens of our products behind us, and sometimes a model of an F-35 or something like that. And suppliers walk up to the booth and say, "Oh, hey, Lockheed Martin, what do you guys do?" Please don't do that. I'm assuming if you're coming to a government conference, you know who Lockheed Martin is and that they're going to be a targeted customer of yours, and you do know what we do. The other thing I would strongly recommend, again, before meeting with somebody from the company, is do as much research as you can on all the various business areas. And if you can pinpoint and say, "Hey, Pat, I think that my services or my product would be would be valuable for the PAC-3 program in the missiles and fire control business area," that's something that I can definitely help you with. Or if you say, "Hey, Pat, I know that the corporate agreement on connectors is expiring in December. What can I do to potentially get on the supplier list and get an RFI?" That's something, again, I can help with. But to come to a representative from a company as big as Lockheed and just say, "Hey, what do you have for me?" It's too difficult because the company is just so large. Again, we're working with over 13,000 suppliers. I've got 4,000 procurement folks, buyers across the company. The more homework you can do on the front end and potentially identify where you think you might fit, the better off you'll be in terms of meeting with somebody from Lockheed. And then the most important question: what problem do you solve? What do you do best? And I find myself asking that question a lot when I meet with suppliers, because many suppliers will come to me and they'll give me this laundry list of things that their company does. And my response is, well, out of those things, what do you do best? Give me an example of when you perform that service for another customer. Tell me why why your company is doing that better than all the other companies that I'm meeting with. So, what problem do you solve? What do you do to drive Lockheed's interest? Do you have a new technology? Are you able to operate at a lower cost? Do you see a synergy somewhere? And then, what's your niche? What was your best contract? Again, what do you do best? It's really important because sometimes we don't have a whole lot of time. I know when I do matchmaking, it's typically 10 to 15 minutes at a time. So we really like to get to the core of what do you do best and how could it best benefit Lockheed and our customers. Okay, steps to marketing to Lockheed Martin. So I wanted to put this on a slide and just kind of go through it item by item. If you were to meet me at an event, I usually have a little pamphlet that includes all of these steps in it. But first of all, as we just discussed, do your homework and identify a target. The second item, complete the supplier marketing portal. I want to emphasize how important this is. We use our supplier marketing portal to find small businesses to meet requirements. Getting your profile set up in that system is absolutely key, as it is the tool that I use to not only share information with other individuals in the company, but also to track our interactions with suppliers. So if you attended this presentation today and you don't have a profile set up in our portal, you can just go to lockheedmartin.com, click on suppliers, click on doing business with Lockheed Martin, and you're going to find the form to submit your information. When you're submitting that information, you're going to put in the notes that you saw a presentation through the PA Apex Accelerator office. You saw a presentation with Pat Desanto, and that you want to put you want your information to be seen by decision makers in Lockheed Martin. If I do a search and your company comes up, I'm going to see that's in there because it tracks all of our interactions with suppliers. So you want to make sure you get your information in that portal. I know every big company has a portal. I hear all the time that suppliers think they put their information in and it goes into a black hole. It's just not true. I use that portal every single day. When I'm done with this presentation today, I'm sure I've got 2 or 3 emails from buyers, and they're going to be saying, hey, Pat, I need a supplier that can offer this service under this NAICS that operates in this area of the country and has this. Can you help me find a couple small businesses to compete? The first place I'm going to go is into that supplier marketing portal. I'm going to do a query, and any companies that have what I'm looking for are going to show up in my search. I'm going to do a little bit more research, and then I'm literally just going to send a link to the buyer saying, hey, here's 5 suppliers that I found that might meet your need. Next item, meeting influencers. As I mentioned earlier, all of the events that we support, we post them all on the corporate website. So please, if you can attend an event and want to meet somebody in person, highly recommend doing so. Like I said, your key influencers are the small business liaison officers that attend these events and try to get it to an event in your area. Some of the other items on here, subscribe to Small Business Innovation Research Distribution. I'll talk about that in a second. And then finally, bringing opportunities to us. So if you feel there's an opportunity that you'd like to partner with Lockheed Martin on, you can send an email directly to our business development folks, and somebody will take a look at it and potentially contact you on it. I'm going to switch gears for a second here. These are the top NAICS codes for small businesses that we award business to. So if you see, you know, I like to provide this slide because very often, you know, folks are asking me, well, do you need this service? Do you need this? Do you need this product? This is where the majority of our awards to small businesses are going. Machine shops, engineering services, they're obviously the biggest pieces, but these are the other NAICS codes that we are buying from.
So Pat, that goes hand in hand with the question we have from Peter. Are there opportunities for marketing, communications, sales, support service providers?
So, I mean, the answer is, I don't know. There may be, but again, looking at where the majority of our small business dollars are going, I don't necessarily know. I would think that at the corporate headquarters function, there might be a need for that. Potentially, it might be potentially covered under one of our corporate agreements, but I'm not really sure.
We have another question. Do you have a sustainability program?
We do. Yes, we have a robust sustainability program. It's been getting more and more traction and more funding every year. And in fact, our sustainability report came out and was published, I want to say, either the end of August or beginning of September. But point being, there are definitely opportunities for companies that could potentially offer support in the sustainability arena. Okay, again, some resources available, and I wanted to point them out. First of all, STEP training, Supplier Training Excellence Program. By the way, these are all things that are, if you go on the corporate website, you're going to find them all. It's all on lockheedmartin.com. Our STEP training program is awesome. It's free. We offer all sorts of training programs that that are free to any supplier, and I would recommend taking advantage of. We also have what we call a what we buy list. So this is something that we update on an annual basis, and it literally shows what are we buying, and then whether it's covered under a corporate agreement or not, or whether it's something that you should send us information on immediately regarding potential opportunities. And then finally, on the bottom right there, that is our corporate agreements list. Again, this is available on our website. It's out there. I update it every quarter. And what this is these are all of the commodities that are covered under corporate agreements, along with the expiration date for the existing corporate agreement. So why is this important? If you are a supplier of one of these commodities, you can see when the current corporate agreement is going to expire. If the current corporate agreement is not going to expire for 3 years, then sending us your information right now is probably not going to, result in anything in the near future. So what I recommend to suppliers is, if you see that the corporate agreement is going to expire 6 to 9 months from now, that's the time to reach out and say, hey, I am a supplier of fasteners. I would like to be part of the RFI for the next corporate agreement, and then we will do our best to get your company on that potential suppliers list. Okay, mentor protege. So I get a lot of questions about mentor protege. Again, we've got a good summary of our mentor protege program within our on our website under government programs. If you're interested in becoming a potential protege, I always recommend Supplier. Send an email to supplier.communications@lmco.com. Now, that being said, I've been in supplier diversity for almost 10 years. If you're not a current Lockheed Martin subcontractor, it's going to be extremely difficult for you to get a mentor protege agreement with us. We give preference to current subcontractors, who we've been with, who have a long track record with us, who we're looking to help grow to the next level. But again, a lot of great information out there on our site. The SBIR program. So I mentioned this briefly on the other slide. Let me talk about it a little bit more. So SBIR, Small Business Innovation Research. If you are a high technology company, you definitely want to listen to this part. If you go to the link, the SBIR link, you can self-register your company into the SBIR distribution list. So what's going to happen then is anytime we have a SBIR need, you are going to get an email saying Lockheed Martin is looking for a company that provides this type of technology, and you will get the opportunity to submit your information and to potentially get an SBIR award. This program, our customer loves it. We love it. You wouldn't believe how many different technologies via SBIR have ultimately ended up in our products. It's mind-blowing, the number of, I'll say mom and pop shops who had a certain niche technology, ended up responding to an SBIR request and were able to win a contract to get that technology integrated into one of our products. It's just an amazing program. Lockheed Martin Ventures. Again, this is the area where we're looking to invest in companies that are developing cutting edge technologies. This is just a snapshot of some of the companies that we've invested in. And, we provide these companies with capital and access to engineering talent, state-of-the-art technology, research. Really a great opportunity for small businesses, small high-tech firms to get some investment and be a part of the Lockheed Martin team. So you've gone through all those steps. You've met with somebody from Lockheed. You've submitted your information, and a match is made, and you finally receive an RFI or an RFQ or an RFP. I can't emphasize this enough, and it sounds simple, but you wouldn't believe how many suppliers do the opposite of what's on this slide. First and foremost, please be responsive. It happens fairly often. I'll find a supplier, I'll link that supplier up with a buyer. That buyer will send that supplier either an RFI or an RFQ, and we never receive a response from the supplier. It happens. So I beg of you, please, if you get the opportunity, be responsive. If you choose not to compete, submit a no bid response. If you do not understand the terms and conditions, the quality and delivery requirements, reach back to us and ask the question. If you need an extension, if you need a couple of extra days to submit your information, please reach out and ask. Being responsive is absolutely critical, and always return calls and emails promptly. Natasha, did I hear a question?
I think someone just wasn't properly muted. I did not hear a question, but yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sure.
And then here we go. If you win the job.
Okay, Google, what time is it?
Somebody needs Google to tell them what time it is.
Yes, if you are not muted, please make sure that you mute yourself during the presentation. I'm looking through the list. I thought everyone was. My apologies, Pat. I'm not sure where that's coming from.
Okay. Again, if you win the work, first of all, make sure you're quoting full cost. Make sure you're taking into account what it's really going to cost. 100% quality in everything you do. Delivery on time, every time. The best way for a small business to win additional business with Lockheed Martin is to perform. Those suppliers that do not perform, I've got a long list of other suppliers that want to compete for that work. So if you do win that job, again, make sure you're quoting your full cost, make sure 100% quality in everything you're doing, and delivery on time and every time. Let's talk for a second about cybersecurity. So we've had, let's see, I think we've had about 5 major breaches in the last couple of years. Every single breach we've had has come through our supply chain. So it is imperative for businesses to make the investment to protect your infrastructure from cybersecurity risks and threats. And we are here to help. So again, on our corporate website, if you go to the cybersecurity area under the suppliers area, we have a helpful resource guide to determine if you're at risk, along with mitigation guidance. We also offer small businesses free cybersecurity training. I believe once a quarter we're offering that training, so take advantage of that. Auditors tell us that nearly all new U.S. weapon systems have critical cybersecurity problems. Like I said, all of our breaches have come through the supply chain, so need to make sure that you're up to date on all of your CMMC requirements. And then the last slide I have is to, just stay in the game. Small businesses that I interact with, I find on average, it usually takes, if a small business has the appropriate level of experience, has all the qualifications, it still typically takes anywhere from 24 to 48 months for a supplier to typically win their first award with the company. So you got to stay in the game, cultivate those contacts that you establish, maintain relationships with the individuals you've met, look for synergies on our programs and areas that you can add value. Keep aware of any events, issues, changes happening in industry. Keep your ear to the ground. I always, like I said, I recommend that small businesses partner with other small businesses. Sometimes you're more powerful joining forces than you are going at an opportunity yourself. But you got to stay in the game in this business. It's critical in terms of getting an opportunity with a large company like Lockheed Martin. And that was my last slide. So I'm taking another sip of coffee, but if anybody has any additional questions for me, I would be glad to answer them.
Thank you so much, Pat. I think that was extremely helpful, very practical. It echoes a lot of the things that we do discuss with our clients throughout the series of sessions. So I do want to open up the floor for anyone that has a question. This is your chance to ask. Feel free to raise a hand or just put it in the chat. We have a pretty quiet group here this morning. Yeah. So Pat, I'm going to ask a question, hopefully for everyone's benefit. You mentioned a lot of the things that Lockheed Martin likes to partner with some businesses on. Was there a link included in your presentation where they can go to find what you're currently looking to source?
There is. So again, it depends on the nature of their business. But if you are, the first thing I would recommend, again, if it's a company that is offering, let's say, a product that would not be specific to a program, I would definitely recommend checking out our corporate agreements list. And that is, again, if you go to, and I'm going to do it real time to make sure none of the links have changed. If you go to lockheedmartin.com, I'm going to literally do it real time. And you go under suppliers, there's a link. Literally, you click on suppliers. And within there, you're going to find just so much information out there. We try to put as much out there as we possibly can. And within there, you're going to see under supplier diversity, you're going to see there's the events calendar. And you're going to see under small business resources, a list of all the corporate agreements, when they expire, and also, whether or not you should be submitting your information immediately relative to those needs.
Got it. Okay. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Anybody else? Any questions specific to your industry or, for the benefit of the group in general?
Natasha, this is Lucy. I had a question.
Sure.
Pat, could you tell us some more about the SIBR, like an individual who may have an innovative product, like what the process would be if you could repeat that? And do you have like an example too of some success stories?
Sure. I wish I had my colleague Arissa on. She's much more closer to the SIBR program. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to share. I'm going to share my screen again, and I'm actually going to show you the SIBR site. I think that might help.
Thanks.
Sure. Oops, I got to get my Zoom out of the way. Okay, there we go. So yeah, and I have this link within the presentation. So yeah, again, lockheedmartin.com, and you'll see it's under the suppliers area, SBIR, Small Business Innovation Research and Small Business Technology. Can't speak. Technology transfer programs. And if you go down here, it says how to partner with Lockheed Martin. So if you click on this link right here, it's going to ask for information about your company. And we then add your company to our SBIR distribution list. Any solicitation topics of interest, you're going to get an email. So anybody who is signed up under the SBIR distribution, any advanced technological needs that we have, you're going to get an email and it's going to say, hey, we are looking for a supplier that could possibly provide a solution to this issue, or that could possibly give us, we're looking for somebody that in this technology realm, whether it be, I don't know, additive manufacturing or what have you. And then if your company meets that need, you can immediately respond to it and be considered for funding for that particular opportunity. The one that comes to mind, the one example is the helmet. So our F-35 program, which is our fifth generation fighter jet, the helmets that the pilots wear, they don't have all the information, let's say on the dashboard, for lack of a better term, on the dashboard of the plane. They actually see the information in the visor of their helmet. That technology came through our SBIR program. So we were looking for a company that had the capability to provide exactly that, to give the pilot the ability to see information without having to look down at certain gauges. Again, I'm not a technical guy, I'm a finance guy. But and that was an example of something where we reached out to all the companies that were on the SBIR list looking for that type of technology. A supplier, submitted their information, gave a demo, and we invested in that company, and it ultimately went into the final product.
That's awesome. Thank you.
That's very cool.
Yeah. A second question too, unless someone else is waiting. Does anyone else have their hand up?
There's a question in the chat. Yeah.
Mhm.
As well. Oh, did you, Lucy, you said you had one more question?
Yeah, I do. I'll go ahead and ask it. So that would be somebody in the innovative side that likely doesn't have any past performance with the government because it's a new product.
Mhm.
And then you mentioned a lot that you rely on organizations being able to show you they've have past performance with the government. A lot of our clients are with us because they don't have past performance. So do you have any advice for them? I mean, everything you offered today was advice. I'm sorry. Do you have anything more like how they could get over that hump of not having the past performance record?
Yeah, and I kind of alluded to it, Lucy. I really think that, let's say they go to a large outreach event. I will very often recommend to suppliers, instead of coming and spending their time talking to the Lockheed Martins and the Raytheons and the Northrops of the world, to really network within all the other small businesses and meet other companies who already have their foot in the door. And if they can offer supplementary products or supplementary services to what those companies are already doing. So if you have another small business who's already working with Lockheed, who's already working with a government agency, see if they might need some additional complementary services that you can add, and then kind of, ride their coattails a little bit and perform there. And then you can say, well, hey, Lockheed, I worked on a contract under Northrop Grumman for a year and a half, providing this kind of service. It's really a good idea for small businesses to partner with other smalls wherever possible. Because let's face it, one of the challenges being small is that you don't necessarily have the infrastructure or the bandwidth to meet every single requirement within an RFI. That's very often a challenge that small businesses have. They can only do so much. Well, if they can partner with another small business, it allows them to take on much more scope.
Great. And in that same thread, if you have your own subcontracting goals, so would some of your subcontractors, I guess if they were large, but then they subcontracted to a small, would that help with your subcontracting goals? Do you know?
Unfortunately, it doesn't.
No, I
Um,
think so.
There was
Okay.
actually, it's funny you mentioned that. There was actually a new rule that came out within the last few weeks, um, via the SBA, where we could take credit for second tier small
Mhm.
businesses, but and that sounds great, but the challenge is I would have to somehow figure out a way to establish goals for that second tier. And without
Mhm.
having any control over that, I'm not willing to take on that risk. It's hard enough to plan our own procurement than let alone plan the second tier down. But it does make my job that much more challenging because, again, we are really a systems integrator at Lockheed more than anything else. So, I mentioned the F-35. Well, we do final assembly of the F-35, but most of the major components, the fuselage, the wings, the engine, all that stuff we're buying from large businesses, and they're the ones that are reaping the benefits of the small businesses contributing to that product. So it does make our job much more challenging in terms of hitting those small business percentage goals.
Great.
Thank you. There's a question in the chat. Is there a list of contacts for the associates responsible for our product category?
Let's see. Could you repeat that again for me, Natasha? I'm sorry.
Sure, not a problem. Is there a list of contacts for the associates responsible for our product category?
There is not. However, again, that's the role of the small business liaison officer like myself. So if that individual who was asking that question, first recommend they get their company in our vendor marketing database. And then the second thing I would recommend is that they send an email to, so I'm going to put it in the chat. supplier.communications@lmco.com. When you send that email, you could include a copy of your capability statement, and that will at least ensure that the individuals who are interested in the offerings of that supplier will at least get notified that, hey, we have another supplier that came into the system that that provides products that you're looking for.
Okay. Thank you, Pat. We have another question. What is the best way to find those businesses that are already working with Lockheed Martin to look for possible subcontracting opportunities?
Best way to find businesses that are already working with Lockheed Martin. So that's a good one. I'm not sure. That's not something that we necessarily put out there publicly, but again, I would recommend using all the resources available out there. Obviously, your team, Natasha, and then any other small business support organizations to try to find as many companies as possible to meet with. There's really not a list of businesses that we're already working with out there.
We always suggest going to networking events. We tell business that when we count on them being the industry insiders. So finding a complementary business to work with and partner opportunity is sometimes lies within the networking vehicles within those particular industries. And
It really is. I mean, again, I mentioned the event I was at last week, and there was at least, I'd say, about half a dozen times when I met a supplier, and my response to the supplier was, I don't have anything for you, but I met this guy yesterday, and he would be a perfect match for you. Take a picture of his business card and give him a call. That really is the best way for small businesses to grow their past performance record.
Lucy put in the chat, similar to what you like to see on a business card, what do you like to see on a capability statement?
Okay, excellent. That's a great question. I really want to see again all the core information. I want to make sure I've got the NAICS codes they support, the UEI number, what customers they've supported in the past, and then just a good description of what they do best and what their expertise in the federal marketplace is. And I like it to be, I would recommend keeping it to one page, but just because it's easier to share internally when I've got it to one page. And one of the things that we do with our existing supplier base that are performing well, we do as much as we can to market those suppliers internally. So let's say I've got a supplier that's supporting our Aegis program at our rotary emission systems business area. We like to cross-pollinate. So I'll ask my SBLO from that business area, hey, you have any, high performing suppliers that we're working with that you think might benefit from working with another business area? And we'll have them actually do an internal one pager, and we'll share it as a supplier spotlight within our global supply chain communications. That's been very, very successful for us. And we've got a number of great stories where we had a supplier that was doing really well, but only working with one business area. And we were really able to get them more opportunities internally just by sharing the great work that they're already doing for us.
So how do you categorize a high-performing supplier? You already mentioned, some of the things throughout your presentation, but I wanted to see, is it objective, subjective?
It really is just the supplier, quality work 100% of the time, meeting all their commitments, and just helping Lockheed be successful in performing on all of our contracts. I mean, that's really it. I mean, I can tell you the incumbent typically wins the follow-on work like 80% of the time. Mm-hmm. So as long as they're performing, they're going to continue to get work with us.
Okay. Terry has another question. Is there a sustainability contact or email to introduce to sustainable products?
I don't know. Terry, but I'd be glad to find out. So if you want to send a note with a capability statement to the supplier communications at lmco.com, put in there, again, that you attended my presentation today and that you're looking for sustainability opportunities, I'd be glad to at least try to find the right point of contact for you.
Okay, thank you. I will.
So on Lockheed Martin's website, under suppliers, under topics, there is a topic on sustainability as well.
Thank you.
It says what Lockheed's already doing.
Okay, I'll look there as well.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there it is. What do you know? Thanks, Lucy.
Well, I really want to, if there are no more questions, I really want to thank our presenter, Pat. It was extremely helpful. It echoes, a lot of information that we share with our clients, and this time coming from a large prime perspective. So we really appreciate that. And to all the attendees, we will be sharing both the recording and the PDF version of this presentation. There are live links in there. So when you go in there, you'll be able to just click and have that resource at your fingertips. So appreciate everyone's time. Thank you so much again. And you know how to find us if you have any follow-up questions. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
So much.
Thank you, Pat. It was wonderful.
Thank you. Have a wonderful week.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Excuse me, I have one question. Will we receive the slides that you just went over?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.